one. Yeah. Mhm. Belleville Area District Library Board will come to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good job. Oh, give me my purple line.
What do you need?
The board. Did you see these pens? No. Them in purple and teal. Oh, there they are. She's got them here for everybody.
I have a purple one.
That's part of the director's report, but we can spring early. The item 2 on the agenda is the roll call, and for that I will call on our secretary, Alma Hughes-Grubbs.
Okay, Dawson,
Here.
Jariga.
Here.
Peters,
Here.
Stottlemyre.
Here.
Hughes Grubbs. Here. Jehevitz.
Chavez, we are expecting,
Okay, and Priest.
is an excused absence. I thank you very much for conducting that. Item 3 on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion from Jariga, supported by Stottlemyre, that the agenda be approved as presented. Before I call for the vote, I'll wait just a second if somebody has something they want to comment on or add. Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. The ayes have it, and there are no dissenting votes. We move to item 4, which is approval of the August 9th, 2022 regular meeting minutes, and they are in your packet. We can take a moment to look at them if you wish.
Make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from August 9th, 2022 board meeting.
It has been moved by Dawson and supported by
Hughes Grubbs.
Hughes-Grubbs, that the meeting minutes of August 9th, 2022 be approved. Again, I will hold off. It's appropriately moved and supported. I'll hold off on the vote to give last minute chance if you see anything that needs to be corrected or commented on before we vote. Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying nay. The ayes have it with no dissenting votes. So now we are on item 5, which is public comment. And tonight I don't have to squeeze out a comment from Rosemary or try to get something from Barbara. We have another member of the public who wants to address us, and we want to hear from him.
Well, thank you.
Pete Kudlak of our school. You're right up here.
We
I
have
think I
one.
met him.
He's a school. I'm the superintendent of Xavier School.
That's where I met you.
That's right. You look very good.
Alma Hughes-Grubbs, Tanya Stottlemyre, Joy Shehevitz. Welcome,
Welcome.
welcome. We have met, I believe you've met Mary Jane
Actually, we haven't, but it's nice to meet
Nice
you
to meet you.
finally.
and John.
How we doing? Good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
I do have some handouts. I'm gonna just talk tonight about, just get information about our 2022 sinking fund proposal.
I was on a school board before, and I know what a sinking fund is,
Yeah.
but it's so complicated and nobody ever
They
understands.
never understand it, and this is the worst name ever, right? Sinking fund.
It is.
It comes from, it's a funding term for, in accounting, basically meaning you put some money aside for bigger projects down the road. In 1994, when Proposal A passed in Michigan, they changed how schools were funded. And in doing so, well, they did it because schools were funded all at different rates, and it was really inequitable across the state for the students of Michigan. So it's gotten a lot better. We still have 43 districts that get more than the rest of us in the state, but it's gotten a lot closer since 1994. And in the proposal A in 1994, part of it was, if you remember before 1994, we continued to, our school districts kept going to the voters for millages, right, for operating millages, and kept trying to pass all these millages at the time going. And it was all based on your property taxes, is how schools were funded. And that was primarily through sales tax. And they got kind of changed the whole model of it, and we can't go to the district for operating millages, or for anybody, any community for operating millages anymore. It's all done through the state. And what we have, the only way two ways now that we can go for millages are, one is a sinking fund, and the other one is an enhancement millage, a countywide enhancement millage. So the way they did that for the county was because they didn't want to have the haves and have-nots, where you have some districts in our county maybe have low property values or can't pass a millage, and others have really high property values and can pass a millage. So then you get back to the have and have-nots again, like we would have had before. They said everybody in the county has to be the same. So we have an enhancement millage here in Wayne County, and it has to pass as a whole county. And then the dollars get split evenly among the whole county too. So you get X number of dollars per kid, no matter what district you're in. So that was to even the playing field too.
And
which
has
was a
that
great idea.
ever happened? Has there ever been the entire county?
We have
engaged
one going here. Yep.
in- Okay.
Yep. We have an enhancement millage in Wayne County. So it happens in other districts. Primarily what they do it for is like special ed or CTE or tech programs. Wayne County it keeps talking about doing that one, what they would, but anyway, ours is just a general enhancement. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the sinking fund part of this and what it is and what it isn't. And my goal is just to inform you. It's not to get you to vote yes or get you to vote no. I feel like the worst thing we can do is you go to the polls either through absentee, which is opening pretty soon, or actually on November 8th, and not knowing, not having all the information. So if you vote yes and you didn't have all the information, then maybe you might feel badly that you voted yes and feel like we pulled one over on you or something. And if you voted no without all the information, then I didn't do my job. So I want to make sure you understand the whole process, all right? So I'm going to start with this little the folded paper. So first of all, it says on the left, on the inside, it says, what is a sinking fund? So it has to be used primarily for building renovations. In 2017, they added, or you can do technology with it now, or you can do security upgrades. So like some of our buildings, if you've been to North, which is now McBride, you walk into that building, you can once you're in the door, you can walk anywhere in that building. So one of the things that we're working to do is have the entrance be more secure, like other buildings. So if they walk in, they actually have to walk into the office before they get out of the office to buzz down. So there's some things that and that's just one idea, but it could be cameras, it could be security guards, it could be a lot of different things that could be used for security out of the sinking fund. If you look down at the bottom, there's a timeline there across the bottom. I mentioned that 1994 proposal it passed. In 1998, Van Buren actually passed the sinking fund for the first time. And it was 1.3 mils for 10 years. So 10 years now is the longest you can go. And then, so 2008 was the next time, right? It went down to 1.13 mils. I don't know the history of that, but it went down to 1.13 mils at that point. So it was a reduction. And that was for 7 years. And then in 2015, if you remember back in 2015, that wasn't a highlight in our district. And the community wasn't going to pass a sinking fund. And we tried it once, I think, and then finally dropped it. We needed it. So we dropped it down to 0.5 again. That was before I got here. So I don't remember all the details, or I don't know all the details, but when finally passed at 0.5 mils. Now that was for 7 years again, so it's now running out. So basically what happens is all the dollars that we have in a sinking fund for building renovations and facility upgrades, we don't have to take out of our general fund, right? So that means those dollars can be spent on students in the classroom, and teachers, and materials and programs. So when we got down to 0.5 for the last 7 years, a lot of it's been coming out of the general fund, or the can gets kicked down the road, right? So not all the projects that get done that need to get done. So a question I got recently was, you're going from 0.5 to 1.75. Well, initially it was 1.3 at one time, so it is still higher than it has ever been. Part of it is the costs are through the roof if you've done any renovations in your house or done anything. We're renovating Owen right now, and prices were through the roof. But also with the additions of security that we can use and instructional technology things, that money can come out of the general fund too, or it doesn't have to come out of the general fund now, it can come out of the sinking fund, again, to put more money into the classroom. If you see the little chart there, it has a little table, tells you how much you would be paying per month, depending on your home value. There's 150, 250, 350 there. That's the monthly cost if this passes. Right above that little chart says, over the course of 6 years, the 1.75 mils will generate $22 million. We have, over this next 6 years, which is what this term is, we have $37 million worth of projects. So it's still not going to get all of it, but it'll really help a lot. And some of that is the stuff that got kicked down the road for a while, and others are just, for some of you might think that, Rossonville and Edgemont was just built, those are 22 years old now. So think about 22-year-old carpet in an elementary school that's been, every day 500 kids are on the floor. So doorknobs, just everything just wears out after a while. All the heating and cooling units are 22 years old. Roof. The high school is, I think this is 12 years for it, which is amazing as well. So, wow, a lot of the guts are still good. It still needs a little TLC as well. So when we did do this 0.5 in 2015, I know part of the conversation was, well, we had 3 really pretty new buildings, right? So hopefully they didn't need much attention. So it did help a lot, but now those buildings are getting a little bit older. So they need to get into the mix with the other buildings that we've been having to update. Well, one thing why a sinking fund instead of a bond, or the difference between the two, is a bond is 30 years. So it's kind of like taking a mortgage out, right? So it's a big commitment. It's the taxpayers pay that for 30 years. This is something that's a short term. This one's 6 years we're going for. So that way, after 6 years, if the community doesn't want it anymore, they want a lesson, we can go back for it. So it's not such a long-term commitment like a bond is, and you don't have to pay interest on it as well. This other chart here, this is actually in the back of this little one. Your eyes are anything like mine.
Thank you for the enlargement.
So there's 33 districts in Wayne County, and there's also a couple others on here that are neighboring districts, like Lincoln Consolidated, Ypsilanti, Airport's on here. So there's just some others that aren't Wayne County that are here. But if you look where we are currently, so currently we collect, our bond millage is 2.98 mils, and our sinking fund is 0.48, because it was 0.5, but it gets reduced a little bit based on inflation. So right now we levy 3.46. So you can see Van Buren over there, like the 5th one in. The blue is the bond debt, and the orange is the sinking fund debt. Right. So if you look at these other districts, we don't levy school taxes at a very high rate compared to the rest of the county or the rest of the area. Right. You can look over at some of the other districts, how much they levy. Basically, the dollars that they get through these taxes, they don't have to pay out of their general fund for, for this stuff, right, that we're talking about with the security or the technology or the upgrades, that they can spend their general fund dollars in the classroom. So if we do pass it, you see there's a new bar right there that's kind of drawn in. It's between the two. That's where we would move up to. So we move up 3 or 4 spots. So we're still pretty low compared to our neighboring districts and the rest of the county.
Do you have any idea why Ecorse and River Rouge, Detroit?
Well, unfortunately, so this is the downside of these type of things. So districts that have low property value to generate any kind of money,
Nice.
they have to have really high taxes. right, to do what they need to do. So that's a catch-22. Now those people in those communities have to pay really high taxes, and their properties aren't worth a lot.
Right,
So,
Okay.
it's really a,
Thank
you know, an unfortunate, inequitable situation. That happens, but, so that's why those districts are furthest over, but you do have, you know, Allen Park over there. Romulus, yeah, Garden Cities, you know, Woodhaven's up really high. I mean, some of these districts that have pretty decent property taxes are way up there as well, and, they can spend their general dollars on other things that the rest of the people bottom here can't. So, the other sheet that I gave you, this one that's stapled, is basically just a presentation. I just printed it. A lot of the information's in the brochure. It's a little different format. It talks about through the history of the sinking fund. It's one slide down here says potential sinking fund benefits to promote safety and security of schools, allows district to continue to upgrade technology. You know, the students of today are coming out in jobs that, you know, probably, you know, our current, you know, middle schoolers are probably going to be doing jobs that don't exist right now, right? So having the latest technology, or at least functioning technology, is vital for these kids, and preparing them after high school. Preserves our general fund for academic programs, teacher salaries, permits our district to save taxpayer dollars over alternate forms of bonding and borrowing, which is never a good idea if you don't have to. And then we have a 10-year capital plan that rolls over. We add a year to it each time. So this is just a 6-year sinking fund. So somebody asked the other day, why is it 6-year? The board decided 6-year because in 6 years is the next presidential. And so there's a lot of theory around that, which is the best way to get things passed. If you want to do a presidential, if you don't want to do the presidential, if you want to do a primary, if you, right? So the board was very clear that they thought the biggest turnout wasn't necessarily the best, you know, to guarantee it passes, but it would be what the community wants. So they wanted to be very clear that, you know, we want to do what the community wants. So if we could get the presidential, that would get the most voters out and have the voices heard the best, right? So that's why they wanted that presidential.
Isn't it in the next 4 years?
2 years is the next
2 years.
presidential, then 4 years after
Okay,
that.
I see.
So we're missing the next one. But
Like, did I miss something?
they're 8-year terms now. Yeah, so 6 years, there'll be a president, just not the next presidential, but there'll be a presidential. If I said that wrong. Any questions about the sinking fund you might think about that you
I
might
have
find?
a couple.
Yeah.
First of all, I will go on record of saying whatever the schools have ever needed in whatever district I've lived in, and I've lived in this one the longest as a taxpayer. I voted yes for it, and so did my husband. We felt that the schools were just as important as having a good library, you know, for the community. So I've heard different people talking on TV about all these funds that the federal government gave out to schools, communities, you know, because of COVID.
Yep.
And that a lot of that money didn't get used for schools or whatever.
So we got, yeah.
Did we get it?
Yeah, so we got ESSER funds.
Mhm.
So the state, the state they had a battle allocated
Mhm.
from party lines. So there was some issues with the state
Right.
politics allocating the money. So we had 3 different versions of ESSER money. And I'm not sure what ESSER stands for. ESSER. Yeah, ESSER, so I'm not exactly sure. Something, recovery, something. Yeah, I don't know. But it was, so we had 3 different doses of that. Basically what we spent it on was a lot of PPE and cleaning equipment. And, you know, we stayed in school the whole time. So some districts
Right.
were remote, you know,
Right.
they didn't have anybody again. So we stayed, anybody who wanted to be in school, we kept them in school. So we had to have more teachers to do that because we couldn't have less teachers because the class sizes would have been bigger.
Right.
So we had the same number of teachers we normally would have had, but with less kids. And then we needed teachers to teach the kids online.
Right.
So we needed more teachers. So some of the dollars went for that. And then when we started bringing more and more started coming back from online, we kept the class sizes low last year as well. So class sizes went up. So we artificially have too many teachers right now, and we continued, so it's gotten a little better over the years. We're kind of waiting for attrition, we're just not replacing people as they come, if they can. You know, if a band director goes or a Spanish teacher goes, you
Right.
have to replace those people, but if it's a, you know, third grade teacher, we can move people around and absorb
Right.
that a little bit. So we've been right sizing, and we have another, we don't have to have it spent for another year and a half.
Okay,
So, so in that amount of time, we'll have it spent. So it's ours has been spent, we're receiving it, and we've got it all spent in the next year and a half by
Good.
people.
good. So my second question is with regard to safety.
Mhm.
Breaks my heart every time I see,
Oh, it's horrible.
yeah,
Horrible. Can't imagine. What a-
I can't either. I recently saw this local news program that was talking about this Michigan company that had come up with this device so that the door is locked and nobody can get in. I mean, you'd have to have, you know, one of those things that the SWAT team uses to
Yeah.
get in.
So we have those in all our doors. We bought
We
those,
do?
yep, out of the
Okay.
enhancement millage, a
I
countywide
forget what
one.
it's called.
Well,
but-
there's a couple different models, but one we have is called the boot.
Okay,
And it was created by a guy whose daughter was attacked. And he came and found out who attacked her and was chasing the guy down. And the guy ran into his apartment. And he was trying to get through the door to get the guy. And
okay, I had one.
no, he didn't have one, but he had inside, it was like an apartment. So
Uh-huh.
his door was here, and then there was like a little half wall or something.
Uh-huh,
So he was leaning against the half wall with his feet on the inside of the door
uh-huh.
and not letting him in, and he was just braced there. And when the police finally got there, you know, saving the kid and saving the dad probably from going to jail, they finally got in there, and there were two big boot prints
Uh-huh.
on the inside of that door. So he calls it the boot. So after that, it was an apartment, and he drilled holes in the floor and created a little thing out of metal. I think he was a teacher, but he was very creative. He created this thing to put in there so the door couldn't swing open, and it was secured in the ground.
Right,
So it's just a model, and then, you know, he showed people, and people were excited, and all you had to do is drop it in. So we have this in all our doors on the inside. And then in all our renovations, and some of the sinking fund money can help with this, is we also are getting secured different locks on our doors that also make it harder to get in. So even if those engage, they won't have to, you know, it'll be a double secure.
mhm,
So all the kids, we practice, we put them in, they drop, little kids can do it.
Yeah.
It's just two holes and a little piece of metal,
uh-huh.
drop it in.
And this company also makes these Kevlar shades.
Yeah.
That come down if, you know, if there's a window in it, you know, in the door.
So there's different ways of doing that. One of the things that we looked at was, there's film we can put, looks like some are clearer than others, some are more like you put on your car to darken the windows a little bit. So you put it on your front windows, like around the entrance, because they might not be able to get in the door, but at Sandy Hook, the doors were locked, everything was good, and there's, you know, a big, nice, next to the double doors that you come in the building, there's a vestibule window like in all schools, and they just shot out that window and walked in.
Okay.
So, one of the things that we would do with security is getting that film on those windows that would help it from shattering, and it would keep the bullet out.
Okay,
So, yeah, so there's different ways of doing this, but yeah, there are a lot of companies are looking at different methods for that.
Whatever.
And it's stupid things we have to think about now. isn't it?
whatever you can do to keep all the kids safe.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So you indicated that there are $37 million worth of projects.
Yes.
But only 22 million is going to be available.
Yeah.
Do you have a list on your website of either the 37 or the $22 million worth of projects?
I don't know if I'll just see, I think it's on our website, but if it's not, I'll make sure it is. We have a 10-year facility plan, so with up to the 6-year point, that's the $37 million. So a lot of it is, you know, heating and cooling units, carpeting, putting some money, I think we're gonna need a roof probably at both Edgemont and Rossendale. Just there's a few big ticket items in there that are, and then technology, instructional technology costs, the security things we were just talking about.
What are needs?
Yeah, so this is just stuff, so, you know, some of it, if we didn't get this, would everything, all the $37 million get done? No. You know, we'd have to prioritize it again. some things we could kick down the road. And so another thing somebody else mentioned at another meeting was, so right now we have a 0.5. It would run out next summer. So we would have 0 at that point. So something has to pass. So we have this election and then we can go into spring too, if we need to, or summer. If this one doesn't pass.
I have one more question, it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
Will we ever be able to go back into the schools during March and read to the
Yes,
kids?
this year.
Yes,
Oh, good.
okay,
Yes, we're having
Okay.
visitors and guests back in the schools this year.
good. We
Yeah.
have missed that.
Yes, yes, I was, typically, there's so many volunteers, it's hard for me to get on some lists because there's so many people, and last couple of years when I haven't, I've been like in every classroom reading, so I'm welcoming all the people back. Well, I like doing it, my voice is shot in March. I'm reading the same book over and over again, too, so I'm kind of tired of it.
That's great, that's great.
Yep. Any other questions, Rob?
Any other questions, board? This has been very informative.
Thank you.
It's refreshed my memory from when in the 1990s, when I was on the
Yeah.
Lansing Board of
There you go.
Education. And a lot has changed and a lot of the laws governing it have changed.
If you have people that are, friends, family, whatever, they're talking about it, please help them be informed. Shoot them my way, have them call the office, contact me. I'm always willing to meet anybody and talk through this, or if you want to get a group of people together and I'll talk about it, if I'll need it, just let me know.
Well, as our colleague, Ms. Dawson said, I think, speaking for us, we're a very education supporting family. And I think library folks,
A lot of overlap there.
there's a lot of overlap, but we really appreciate the thoroughness and the materials, how well they're done so that it is easier to understand and also to explain to people. And you can tell people they can look up on our website and listen to our meeting and they can get
There
your
you
whole
go.
presentation.
I will. And we do, on our website, as mentioned, we do have we have a whole page dedicated to this, so it has a lot of information and slides and different things too, so.
Well, thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
coming, and
Thank
you
you.
are welcome to stay at our meeting if you wish.
Because you
If you
don't.
haven't- if you haven't
Because
had
you don't go to enough.
If you haven't had enough meetings to go to,
You leave all these here? Did you sell some downstairs?
Probably, but I'll take one.
Thank you so much.
thank you so much. Come back anytime.
You're welcome, thank you.
Come back just for the fun of it.
We'll see you on the 4th Thursday of the month.
29, yes, I'll be there.
All righty, we are on item 6, which is approval of resolutions authorizing millages to the December 2022 tax bill. And I will ask Rose, Mary Jo, and Tanya to work through this issue.
Is that the only public?
That was public comment.
Oh, I got the only one.
Oh, are there any other public comment? Those, I had started off with those two ladies were off the hook. I wasn't gonna try to press Rosemary to come up with something to say. We are to approval of the resolution. And this is pretty perfunctory, but still, we will want to thoroughly understand what we're doing before we vote.
I can start, even Mary Jo can fill in the blanks for me.
Okay.
But included in the packet are 3 resolutions that we have to vote on. So the first one is levy number 1. And this one states that the Belleville Area District Library hereby resolves that there will be levied on the taxable property within the library district for the year 2022, included on the tax bill for December 1st, 2022, for operational purposes, a tax of 6.864 tenths of a mil, reduced by Headley to 6.831 tenths of a mil on the 2022 taxable value of real and personal property. So this is the first of the 3, and these are all the levies that were approved by the voters. So
Okay, I have a question already, though. You said there is three of them. We have three. But the first one is listed 2022-02, and then 03 and 04. Why don't we have a
As we did the
01?
Gatsby thing, right?
The resolution number one this year was putting the millage on the ballot. So this is our
okay.
second
Okay.
resolution. of
So
the
this
year.
is our
Yeah.
second. Okay, thank you.
And this specific millage was the one that was approved by the voters
Okay.
in August.
Thank them all.
Any question, or do you want to go through all three of them? And
I don't know if you wanna vote on.
I guess we should just vote them one by one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so questions regarding resolution number 2022-02. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair, I motion that we approve Belleville Area District Library Levy number one, resolution number 2022-02.
I'll second that.
It has been moved by Stoudemire and supported by Jerica that we approve the district library levy number one, which is resolution 2022-02. And I don't hear any more comments. It's properly moved and supported. All those in favor?
Roll call.
Oh, we have to have the roll call vote. I always mess those up, but at least we are in person. So I have to ask you to go back to work, Alma.
Okay. Jehavit,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes,
Jerica,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Stoudemire,
Yes.
Hughes Groves. Yes.
That motion has been approved with no dissenting votes. And now we can go on to discussion of the library winter tax levy number 2.
We'll start, the Mary Jo will assist. But this is Belleville Area District Library Winter Tax number 2, resolution number 2022-03.
2021.
Is that correct? I wasn't sure.
Oh, that's wrong. It should be 2022. I apologize for that.
Okay, then we had something to fix right away.
This states that the Belleville Area District Library hereby resolves that it will be levied on the taxable property within the library district for the year 2022, included in the tax bill for December 1st, 2022, for operational purposes, a tax of 7.5 tenths of a mil, reduced by heavily to 7.318 tenths of a mil on the 2022 taxable value of real and personal property.
318.
I think this is correct, that 2017, December 1.
That was when we first levied it.
So 2037. We'll have to have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Belleville Area District Library winter tax levy number 2, resolution number 20, corrected to 2022-03.
It's been moved by Dawson and supported by Stoudemire to approve resolution as the resolution as amended, so the resolution number 2022-03. Any comments? Seeing none, all those in, we have the
Roll
roll
call.
call vote, okay, my favorite thing.
Okay. Jehavit,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes,
Jerica,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Stoudemire,
Yes.
Hughes Groves. Yes.
The motion carries with no dissenting votes. And now we move on to our winter tax levy number 3.
So the third resolution in your packet is the Belleville Area District Library Winter Tax Levy number 3, resolution number 2022-04, which states that the Belleville Area District Library hereby resolves that there will be levied on the taxable property within the library district for the year 2022, including the tax bill for December 1st, 2022, for bond repayment purposes, a tax of 2.277 mil on the 2022 taxable value of real and personal property. So this one is a little bit different from the other two. So
This is to pay the bond for the building. There is a one-time reduction this year. Normally, we levy about 0.62. We're at the end of our project and we will be returning some unspent money from that project to the debt service to pay off the bond. So that lowers this year's tax bill for everybody.
So that in essence, it's returning to the taxpayers.
Right.
The tax is
So
slightly
this one
lower.
has to be done every year.
This is done every year. But the rate can change,
Right.
fluctuate every year depending on circumstances. But our circumstances this year are, we can return some money, so we can lower
That's good.
that tax.
So it is a good thing. It's a little bit lower of a tax than what the voters approved. Which is dandy. And
Oh.
more comments?
No, I was just gonna make a motion.
Good.
Make a motion to approve Belleville Area District Library Winter Tax Levy number 3, resolution number 2022-04.
second,
It has been moved by Dawson and supported by Stoudemire that the resolution number 2022-04 be approved. And we will need a roll call vote.
Haggett,
yes,
Dawson,
Yes,
Jerica,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes,
Stottlemyre,
yes.
Hughes Grubs, yes.
this motion carries with no dissenting votes, and I really do appreciate the thoroughness of the discussion and presentation from our treasurer. So I believe with that vote, we have, completed item 6 on our agenda. And now we move to item 7, which is our committee reports. And we, as we customarily do, we will begin with our building committee and building committee chair Chehevitz, who we didn't have a meeting, so you don't have so much to talk about.
I don't have anything to talk about, but Mary Jo might.
I spoke with Dean this morning to get an update and hoping to have the meeting with the heating and cooling people sometime next week. He's working on dates with them. He has received some dates from Long Mechanical. He's trying to get everybody's calendars coordinated.
This will be the finalizing
This was, yes,
meeting for this project,
For the-
this
for the-
fix-up.
humidification project startup.
And he's hoping to have it this week or next?
Next week, he's
Next.
hoping. The sidewalk that needs to be repaired by the electrical pole on Roy Street, that is scheduled to happen this week. This was something that kind of slipped through the cracks. We need to, had to take out a portion of that sidewalk in order to get rid of one of those light, there was the crooked light pole. So they will be pouring that sidewalk this
I
week.
talked to the city on that issue. They mentioned when they dug it out, they found a pipe they could not recognize. And Reverend White wanted the pipe identified, if it was a drain pipe or whatever it was, so that was a holdup on Blue Ribbon Construction.
Okay,
That's why they didn't
okay.
fill it in
Anyhow.
until they could identify what that pipe
Pipe was,
was.
okay.
so what was it?
I don't know.
But
I didn't ask that.
not our pipe.
Yeah, it's not ours.
Not our lane.
So anyway, but that's scheduled to happen this week. The trench drain at the emergency exit by the meeting room, that project is again on hold. Dan and Dean are continuing to work out some issues with that. So they will continue to wrestle with some things. Also still waiting for some minor electrical work in the children's room, waiting for the electrician on the one light that's out. Also waiting for an adapter for one of the controllers for the colored lighting. Also, the eye in the library sign that had the backing had fallen down, that was replaced last week, so. that
The
was
sign
done.
back here
The
on
blue sign,
Charles Street.
yes. So that's,
That's something we expect to happen to some of the other letters.
I sure hope not, I guess we'll find out.
I have a question. What about, well, a little later in this meeting, we might talk about our hours. So what does it take to change the sign on the front door about our hours?
Good question.
Didn't think of that one, did you?
Yeah. Let me talk to Dan about that to see what company we used. I don't think it's gonna be that
We all
hard, but,
Or maybe we can make a little cardboard thing and paste it on.
well, I'm sure we can always do
Not
that.
permanent.
Trying to get away from that kind of thing.
Yeah. Or we could just have somebody out on the street saying, we're open today.
Yeah, right. Maybe I'll blow up.
Maybe with one of those,
with the
yeah,
waves and
One of
things.
those,
Those
one of those
signs,
guys
people.
that does this.
I think that would be it. That sounds like it. for me.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I will make a note of that. That's a lovely problem to have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And those were the main things. One minor thing, that we're working through, the sink at the branch was coming away from the wall. So we had our plumber
Already?
fix that, but he said it needs to, that there's just drywall backing behind there, and there needs to be some kind of backboard, so at some point that's going to have to.
That was
We looked
Richard's
at-
plumbing.
So, and I did email the township about it, so they know about it.
That's a sink in the kitchen.
In the bathroom,
Okay.
so, I mean, it was good for 2.5 years, so.
I don't
Maybe it'll be
think
good for another
so.
2.5, but it
2.5 years when nobody was in the
probably need to
building.
be addressed a little bit sooner than that. So, and that's all I have for building.
I have a question. Dishwasher. I don't know that that's real wood, okay?
But it's still working.
It's working fine.
Okay, all right, that was it. Thank you.
Any other questions about the building? John, you don't have any questions?
Nope,
What's wrong?
I was not here last week and I just,
You're just still mellow,
Yeah.
still a mellow guy.
Yeah.
Okey dokey. Well, if no one else has any questions, we will move to Mr. Juriga and his bylaws
I have
report.
no report.
Alrighty, then we will move to Ms. Stoudemire and her finance report. She already did stuff. No more report from her. Ms. Shoe Scrubs and her marketing report.
Nothing to report.
Okay,
And I don't know when that's further down. Art, I know we got moved before. Was it last month that Michelle sent something out?
The Michelle said, well,
Oh, you're talking about the art committee.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well,
But I think
Right,
that was kind of
right. But
conjunction
for the marketing committee, we haven't even been scheduled. We
No.
did so much work in that marketing committee in the early part of this year that we are taking, well, getting our breath. We'll probably, I don't know, we might think about whether we need something in the fall and whether we're doing something at the holidays or if there's other activities, but nothing now.
Right.
No report for the September meeting. The Personnel Committee, I don't believe they have a report, and the chair is not here, so no report on the Personnel Committee, which is Linda Priest, who does an excellent job with that committee when it's time. And then likewise, the Policy Committee, Ms. Dawson.
I don't have a report, but in speaking with our beloved director, she said that there may be a few things that we should look at before the end of the year. So.
Beloved director, would you like to speak to that now or in your director report?
I can talk about it now.
Okay.
We have a lot of policies. Many of them were written in 2010. So it's time to review them. And I did speak with Ann Sarick, our library attorney, about that. So I'm hoping to get a list of the policies that she generally works on and have a policy committee meeting and start talking about our way forward, how we want to update things.
So we're anticipating a policy committee possibly before the October meeting.
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah,
If not, then at the very least before November.
yeah.
Okay. And then I think Member Hughes Grubbs was referencing the art committee, which several of us serve on. It's chaired by Michelle Montour, and we did not meet over the summer. There is an art committee scheduled for, I think, the 18th. Is the 18th the weekend?
I thought that was,
Someday this month.
I thought it was around the 18th last month.
Yeah,
and
maybe
she
that's what I'm
decided not
thinking of
to-
the
Yeah.
18th. Yeah, it's not gonna be the 18th this month because that's a Sunday, so.
Potentially this Thursday, September 15th at 3 p.m. if a meeting is needed. But the plan is to host the winners of the BACA Art Show in our library, if anyone who's willing to have their works shown here at
And
the
a
library.
display on
And a
the
display, yeah.
temporary display
So-
board.
So that's kind of the goal, and they would probably be on display through Christmas.
15th, you said?
Yeah,
The 15th, which is this 2 days from now.
if a meeting is needed, it will be the.
We
September
haven't heard
15th at 3.
anything, so.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think one's needed.
Mary Jo, I'm interrupting, and
Okay,
the ABACA, the Belleville Area Council for the Arts meets tomorrow night here.
okay,
So if you have any questions or any comments to make, that would be a good time
okay, good,
because the whole board will be there and they can act on it.
okay, good.
My understanding is that Michelle Montour has been working with the BACA board about this issue of the display of those
Well, that-
and so perhaps they will take care of it, but maybe we should reach out to Michelle Montour, just to make sure, especially since BACA, what time is BACA meeting tomorrow, do you know?
7,
7 o'clock in this room, oh boy.
we meet at 6 on the Gospel Fest, but the board meeting is at 7.
7, okay. We are looking forward to being able to display some of the art, so we're excited about it.
Yeah.
I love seeing all those banners on Main Street,
Yeah,
all the different art.
I really like the attention given to art in this community. For a small community, we do a lot to celebrate art, and it would be very good for our library to be able to use this resource. And the art committee did a lot of work about preparing for that display wall, which I've really appreciated. For about 6 months, we've been able to display about our process of building the library. But we want the community to know that that wall and the area is for temporary art displays, and what better than local art? So I hope it all works out. So I think that takes care of our committee reports. So yeah, we're moving right along, and we did have a good public comment.
We back up,
Oh, you want
So-
to back up?
we do or we don't have an art committee meeting on Thursday.
let me talk to Michelle tomorrow.
Okay,
Our chair is not, yeah.
I had the impression from reading the email that she quite think we needed to have one.
I didn't
but-
think, you know,
Okay,
But if you could talk to her before tomorrow evening and then factor in Barbara Miller's
Sure.
comment as well,
Mhm.
so we can take advantage of the timing. Because the art show is in October or November?
October the 14th.
October, yeah,
I think
so,
those are the right dates.
yeah.
yeah, it is.
So this is the time to get that all, from what I understand, I think that Michelle has it, but this is the time to get it all fixed up. So that everybody knows what's going on. So I think we're finished with our committee reports now, right? So we can move on to approve the accounts payable and look at our big list. I know it was a big list because I've seen those checks.
I make a motion that we approve accounts payable as presented.
We have a motion to approve accounts payable as presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second from Tanya Stottlemyre. Moved by Dawson, seconded by Stottlemyre. It is a properly made motion, and this is the time we generally do have, perhaps people have questions about any of the things. Almost all of these are, you know, I've got a lot of programmatic things and then a lot of regular, you know, like DTE energy and regular overhead kinds of costs.
Joe, Otis elevator, is that something that we do quarterly or?
I believe it's quarterly.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Why were the fire trucks here
Oh,
last week?
this week.
They were
This week.
practicing. They were actually practicing with our elevator.
What was the process?
We have the only electric elevator in all of Belleville.
I believe you.
So,
So
So they were
they
working
came
on-
and did some special practice on how to, so the fire people will know how to fix it. I mean, if something
Did
happens.
they educate you on this process?
I didn't have to do anything, just, yeah.
She just
Just
had to
open
be
the
in
door,
here.
yeah.
So that's another, I happened to be over here when they were around preparing to do that, and that's another thing this library has.
The high school doesn't have an elevator, or doesn't have an elevator.
They do, but
If they do, it's hydraulic.
And ours is
Oh.
electric, so.
Okay, I
Yeah.
see.
So there are elevators in Belleville, but they're hydraulic, and maybe is electric elevators a newer technology?
Is this a different technology? I think it had to do with the height of the building.
They used to use Gophers. Then they ran out of Gophers.
So we have a motion on the floor, properly made and seconded. Any other questions about these expenditures? Do you ladies have any questions about the expenditures? I think you have the whole program. All of these are things we have gone through all the time. So even the Richards Plumbing and Heating isn't a regular cost, but that's that wall at the branch that we just talked about. So, and I do ask about these when I'm signing checks. All those this is one we could just have a voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying no. Well, our accounts payable for this month have been approved. And we move on to the director's report, which is always the highlight, really is a great highlight of our board meeting. Go, Mary Jo.
All right, well, I already talked about a couple of these things, so. School started last week, the first day was last Thursday. So we were a bit more proactive this year. We opened up the first floor program room to the teens. Gave them some after-school snacks and let them play board games. We had our giant games, our giant Jenga and Connect Four, cornhole, so they were able to get some of their energy out after school. So it was a nice day. Everybody was enjoying the library that day. I want to bring your attention to a program that the library is having next Tuesday evening at 6:30. We are joining forces with the Belleville Rotary Club to present a program from the Huron Watershed Council. And that's in your packet, talking about the Huron Watershed, because it's an appropriate program considering the toxic spill that happened in Wixom not that long ago.
And the green algae we have on the
And the
lake
green
right
algae
now.
we have, so they're gonna tell us how, tell us about some of this and tell us about what things we can do to help. Also, I forgot to write it down in my director's report, but Harvest Fest is coming up. So Harvest Fest is October 8th. 11 to 3. It will begin with a tractor parade. It's gonna be a tractor parade on Main Street,
So 11 to 3.
11 to 3.
When is the date again?
Saturday, October 8th.
The Friends of the Library spent a good amount of time considering about that.
Yeah, the Friends are very
The
supportive of this.
museum will not be involved this year.
Museum is not involved. We're kind of folding in some of their activities that they used to do in the,
Did we
What we're
ask them
doing,
if they would be involved?
so, I think the people that were, from the Historical Society have been working on,
He's part of,
no, okay. Well, I know, I did
Did Tom?
Tom and, I'm sorry, the name is eluding me
It's
right now.
okay, it's okay.
They've been
You
working
did
on
talk
it,
to
yeah,
Tom.
okay.
Good.
But they are trying to get the corn husker, or whatever,
yeah,
the
yeah.
machine from the museum. So
Is
they can
Tom
do
gonna
that,
be
so
involved?
Tom is
in the
involved, yeah.
Activity?
Good.
So,
That's about
but
it.
it should still be a fun activity, so.
And we still have not gotten any indication of when the museum will be operational.
I haven't heard anything.
well, they won't be able to afford a director that they did all that beautiful painting.
And the fans connectors.
It looks
It's looking good, yeah.
the outside looks lovely, but I'm getting older and I'm beginning to forget what's on the inside. Stuff I've donated and stuff.
We're getting so old, they'll just put us in there, never let us out.
What's the last time anybody was in there? 2019.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I don't do math, so I don't know how many years.
Well, anyway, Harvest Fest will be a
Yeah.
chance for us to, this,
We did it that way last year. without them.
Yeah, we did. And it was active and a lot of people came.
Yeah. so
And,
it should be-
and it's
should be a lot
another
of fun.
chance to use this 4th Street Place, is that what we call this?
Yeah.
And it has been so active,
I've put my order in for good weather, so every year I place my order. I try to get my order in early, so.
Are we gonna have
We
animals?
had the car show and there were quite a few vendors out there.
Oh, yeah, the farmer's market.
We've actually had some talk about having some goats, so.
We're so goat oriented.
We are, yeah.
They're planning on having a goat festival next year.
Really?
I'm just working on that right now.
Will the
They
goat
have-
festival be goats eating the vegetation?
Pardon me? No, well,
They'll just be walking around for
no,
fun?
it'd be, maybe have some goats with a 4-H, but then have vendors with art and have tents and stuff up like that. It's still in the planning stage.
Can we borrow a goat?
The only,
I have
the
a-
only one in this town
garden
that's
in
so
my yard.
creative is Ken Voight. So it's his concept, which is. he's working on.
goats.
Pardon me?
He's into goats.
He's into goats.
He's a goat guy.
Could be worse, it could be bison.
I love watching them when they eat the
Yeah.
foliage. It's just a very
I think it's
calming
fun.
event. It's just kind of
Yeah.
sweet to just go over there.
Plus they fertilize.
Yeah, they fertilize as they go along. Can I ask a question? It's about the goats and the vegetation. The rest of the clearing, further down on High Street, there's been clearing, and I know it was people that cleared it. I passed by there all the time and there were work crews clearing. Is that part of the
No,
city?
that's
owned
not-
it?
Scott Jones owns that.
Scott Jones did
Owns-
some, but then now they're doing it further along in front of people's houses.
Yeah, they did it all the way down.
It's okay, no, not to worry. He owns, Scott Jones owns down the hill. I found out he owns that too, because I questioned when they cut it, they just threw the stuff down the hill and they
Mhm.
didn't take it out. And as I was told that that's his property. Now, what other people are doing, my son used to live on High Street and they was chastised for cutting trees down and
Yeah,
doing that, so.
but they, you know, and I noticed it was in front of Scott Jones' property, but then a couple days later I came and there was a
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
bunch
yeah.
more that had been cleared that's
Welcome to
not in
Belleville.
front of his property. Yeah, well, I always find that Belleville does things.
We don't
The
enforce
Belleville
all of
way.
our rules.
Yeah, well.
Scott
I,
Jones is probably happy.
Pardon me?
Scott Jones is probably happy about that.
it's okay.
No, no, he owns it, he can do that,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
so,
okay.
no,
But
no.
it's fine with me. I drive by there and I love looking at the water on the
Yeah,
lake.
and it should be celebrated, the whole thing should be done.
But my son, Audubon
Yeah.
Society kid, the erosion, whenever I go to Cutting up north by our lake, he goes on about the erosion and all this stuff. I just wondered if this was done planfully or not.
Well, supposedly if you leave the roots in or.
The roots stay there, it won't be
Right.
ruined.
Well,
So
that
we-
was off the point as
Okay.
usual.
Well, couple
Sorry.
quick more things here. We are staffing up. And we are doing that so that we can open on Sundays. Our plan is to begin on October 16th with Sunday hours. We're gonna be open from 1 to 5. We're also planning on increasing our morning hours, opening at 9:30 a.m. Monday through Saturday. Planning on hopefully having that ready to go by November 1st, if not sooner. So we will be open Monday through Thursday, beginning at 9:30.
And we will need new signs on our
New signs on the
front
door.
When did we get the
Friday?
sign we have on our front door? Has it been there very long?
Yeah, that was,
From the beginning?
I think so. So yeah, when all is said and done, the new hours will be Monday through Thursday from 9:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m.
9:30 p.m.?
9 p.m., 9:30 a.m.
Yeah,
and
I bet the staff would have a little fit on that one.
9:30 to 9 p.m. And then Friday and Saturday, 9:30
No.
to 6 p.m. on
Yeah.
Fridays and Saturdays. Sunday, 1 to 5.
Okay, that's big news.
So that's my big news.
That is
So,
big. news.
Some of it starts in October and some starts in November.
Yeah, I think it might take us a little bit longer to get things going for the morning hours, but
Okay,
I want to get that as close to October 16th as possible, but realistically, I'm just gonna give myself some wiggle room.
I hope that means I hope that doesn't mean we have to start our morning meetings earlier. Just my own personal thing. Anyway, we have more options
Right.
for people in this library. That's wonderful, actually. We had always hoped we could have Sunday hours, and I was thinking it would be years in advance, but that Mary Jo, she moves right along. So,
Well, it's a great reward for getting the millage passed too.
yeah, and the people get more service.
Yeah.
More times they can get service. So, wonderful, people have questions, look at all these things she included for us.
And you can tell I started out as a children's librarian because I had to include the article
Good
about
night, Moon.
Good Night Moon. By
Yeah.
Margaret Wise Brown is 75 years old.
How many of us have read, I've now, had kids and grandkids. And you already talked about the Huron River watershed and all these other little programs that we have here. Groups are going well. Story times are starting up. Did you spend a little bit of the story times?
Yeah,
Did we already get one that's already started?
Yeah, they're all
Last
this
night,
week.
last night.
Sometimes I get to listen a little bit at the door. I try not to hover too much because those kids know I'm out there and then they just like turn and look at me and I'm trying not to, interrupt everything, but our children's librarians just do a really good job, so they're well attended.
Very good, very good. That always makes it feel worthwhile for our board meetings, so we can really hear some things about what we're really doing here.
So how's the teams? Are a lot of them showing up after school?
Yes.
Pretty good, not as big as last year, but last year it kind of crept up as the school year went on, so.
I don't know.
I think it's
I
about
have
the same as
that-
how we started last year.
I
so.
have that from my comments. I've been walking through, so yeah, they're coming.
They're coming.
And is that, we have some more? I could go on director's comments, and plus we're at a pretty good time. But if you are finished, we can move to trustee comments. Who wants to start?
What's the old man?
All righty.
Joy mentioned something about the village passing, which is very positive. And my wife and I and a number of other people got involved with helping pass the millage. And I came, after the millage had passed, I walked in the front door and the staff at the desk thanked me, and I go, and then automatically walked to Mary Jo, and I had to tell her, I says, the staff is thanking me for working on this, and we need to thank the staff. The big deal about this millage passing is the staff and how wonderful they are. And it needs to be, they need to be told that.
Well, the Juriga family was very helpful in
Yes.
helping move along our effort to pass that millage, so it's a community good effort. So thank yous all around, and I agree. We should thank our staff every chance we get. Mary Jane.
I just realized I'm as old as that book almost.
We can read Good Night Moon to you.
The first time I remember seeing that book was when my first mother-in-law bought it for my oldest son, Jim, for his birthday. I don't remember. But there were 5 kids in my family, and we didn't buy a whole lot of books. We went to the library. Evidently, that was a book that just didn't make it home, whatever. So thank you to everybody who has supported the library millage, and I'm hoping that people will be real supportive of the school so that we can get those funds.
Thank you. Joy?
Thank Tanya for doing all the heavy lifting with all these resolutions every year. And Mary Jo, of course. And I'm so happy that we're gonna be open on Sundays. I think we'll be very full,
Does
at least in the school year.
do any of the IPSI libraries? Are they open on
Whitaker does.
Whitaker's open on Sunday.
We're busy in the youth department in the summer, in the school year.
Canton's open on Sundays too, aren't they?
Yes, my husband has to work every single Sunday.
Yeah, well, then that's another thing to thank the library staff for. We're offering this to the people, but the only reason we can do it is that we have staff who come in on their weekends. Anything else?
No,
Tanya?
I just want to say I enjoyed the public comments today. It's not often that we get somebody to come in and do a
Right.
presentation
That's a
on
really
something
good
that's
presentation.
so important to the community. So that was really nice. Hopefully we'll get more people who will come in
Yeah,
and take advantage of this opportunity to do that. I just want to thank Barb for joining us tonight. I haven't seen her in a while, so good to see you. And looking forward, to our fall activities.
yeah,
It's in the air.
right. Wonderful. And Alma, my dear, I know you're writing, but you can write and talk.
I don't know about that. Just wanted to thank John and his family for the effort and encouraging people to, come out and vote. So that meant a lot for the library as well as the community. And didn't really get a chance to see the goats very much this year. Seemed like they were here for what, a week
No,
or 2 weeks?
Couple
it
weeks.
was a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I got a picture I took of
Did
them.
you?
I can show it to you. They loved the sunshine. They get up on the top of the hill and most of the time in the afternoon, they'd be out there laying around.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I just didn't see as many cars as last year, people stopping up there. But it was nice. And also I'm excited about the library opening on Sundays. I think it's a good decision. See how it goes. I'm sure it'll go well.
Thank you, thank you. Now we'll move to item 11, our last item, which is the chair comments. I do a lot of walkthroughs in the library. It's part of my walking thing, but it's also part of my nosy thing. So I've really been noticing lately in fall about our, especially since I've been through the building committee and planning all this. So building committee, a long time when we were talking about the bioswale and even the vegetative roof. It was kind of, I'm thinking, well, what's all this talk about? And what does this really mean? But as through the summer and now the bioswale is beautiful, to be able to handle our environmental responsibilities in a way that enhances and beautifies and also helps the whole environment, the pollination and everything is just fantastic. Likewise for the vegetative roofs. But also in one of my walks, it was just this week, a beautiful sunny day, and I'm walking over in the children's area, which is one of my favorite places to walk. Hillary was over there. I wouldn't have noticed this all by myself, but Hillary pointed out that those little purple flowers, which she says are some kind of geraniums, you couldn't really see them if you didn't really look, but bees were swarming right over them all the whole time. So our whole idea of creating this library and creating in our physical plant environmentally appropriate and forward kind of situation, and the work that both Joy and John have done about bees, I saw with my very own eyes. It's really working well. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoy everything, and I urge all of you to do the walkthroughs. I wouldn't urge all of you to get as bad a foot and ankle as I have. I have to do this walking to even be able to move, but the other walkthrough observation, it was just the other day, and Jen was in the teen room. I went through the teen room and it was starting to look like it had looked in the spring. There was a lot of activity, all those big chairs, those big,
The game chairs.
those comfortable chairs, the best chairs in the building, really. They were filled, kids were interacting with each other in great fun. They do ignore me, and I try to walk through and be ignored, I don't want them to but I've always enjoyed just observing their behavior and all that. So I stood there acting, well, I was talking to Jen, but I was also looking at the kids and the young people in the teen room. It's about as gratifying as the little kids room. I talk about the little kids room all the time. So my walkthroughs are wonderful, but also our farmers market every week. I mean, we really almost have like a little festival every week in Belleville, right here at our library. People are coming in and out of the library. John and I conferred yesterday. You see your friends and your neighbors and get fresh. My husband even came yesterday and we got good fresh vegetables. And I'm looking forward to the Harvest Fest. But to see this place living up to what we were all imagining it would be and hoping it would be, and really exceeding some of our expectations is really a joy.
Speaking of which, the farmer's market, I talked to a lot of the vendors basically the women vendors. And they said, oh, they love the library, the bathrooms are beautiful.
Yeah. Well, and I saw, speaking of which, and for library history, I saw Mike Bolter yesterday.
Yeah,
You saw him,
yeah.
we saw him same time. But he was headed into the building to use the bathroom, so that was good. He was
Yeah, it's
displaying at, he had his
Yeah, Cushman.
a Cushman motorcycle, is it a motorbike? He had some out here at the car show.
Yeah, yeah.
And there you go. So it has really stimulated the town. And we were looking for this to be a civic hub, and we've accomplished, we are accomplishing our goal, so.
And we
very
were
nice.
looking to do that in coordination with the museum, weren't we?
Which brings back up, well, we hope we have, and we,
Eventually, right?
pardon?
Eventually.
Eventually that, there was something in June 1st that the township did about it, but then I don't think has there been any public announcement about the?
No, the CDC said that they were told that they couldn't have Santa there this year, but next December. they
We
could.
can't have, they won't,
No, Santa's gonna be here.
Santa's
yeah,
gonna
well, we
deliver.
have Santa here, we've been, as we just discussed in the Harvest Fest, we've been picking up the slack, whatever had been done at the museum, and then when they do get open, we'll have
We'll
to
just
figure out.
kidnap Santa.
We'll have to say, we've got this opening, we've
I
got
asked
a
Santa
window
for a
for
new
you.
library for many years, so he can come here whenever he wants.
You asked Santa and Santa answered your wishes. John's so chilled out today.
I make the motion that this meeting be adjourned.
It is moved and there's support all
Second.
around. I can just see it. And this meeting is adjourned.